What's up, everybody? Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor, coming to you from Florida, West Palm Beach, for a special episode of Ask Ron Live, just because I'm not home. Need some questions from you guys, so please fire away. I know I gave you no advance warning on this, so let's see if I can get this video up first. Yeah, I guess the first thing I'll talk about is it's April already, so if you haven't started your summer cut, you better start like right now because summer's coming so fast. It'll be here in April to May, June, 2 months. I'd say it usually takes about 8 to 10 weeks to drop a substantial amount of body fat. So if you put on 10, 15 pounds of extra over the course of the winter, sorry, I'm just trying to get this video up. Then yeah, you definitely want to get started. Hit some more cardio, clean up that diet. No more than 1 or 2 cheat meals at the most. How do I refresh this? Yeah. Oh well, I guess I'll have to wait and see your questions one at a time. Yeah. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions for me, so people, one thing I get all the time is what's your diet looking like? My diet is like the same every day. I eat the same food pretty much every day. Breakfast, 3 whole eggs, 1 cup of oatmeal that's dry. I soak it overnight and then I microwave it for 90 seconds in the morning. Lately, been putting a ton of peppers and vegetables in the eggs. That's really my wife's doing. She chops up this giant Tupperware container full so she gets her servings of vegetables. So now I'm getting more fruits and vegetables per day than I was before. I highly recommend if you're not doing fruits and vegetables every day, you start adding those in. Even if you're on a cut, you want some things like apples, strawberries, blueberries. Blueberries and apples, very, very good for your health. You need to rotate. Oh no, not that. Huh. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm showing it like this. Okay, well, I guess I'll rotate. All right, well, I didn't mean for it to look like this, but now it's rotated. So that's my daughter's arm. My daughter's hand. Oh, thanks. So yeah, questions, guys. Fire away with some questions. But do you think it's good or bad to do a few partial reps once failure is reached? I personally like doing that an awful lot. I'm taking this off the tripod thing. Yeah, once I hit failure with full reps, I will keep going for partials because you still have some strength in that range of motion. I remember years ago, I trained at World Gym Venice a lot. Should I take LR3 every day? I don't even know what that is. Yeah, so getting back to that, typically when you fail doing full range of motion, for example, let's say lat pull downs, just a random example. When you can't do any full reps anymore, you can't get it all the way down, you can still usually pull to like top of the head or maybe eyebrow level, and you'll still be getting that stretch position. You'll still be stressing the muscle. That's a good way of taking a set a little bit beyond failure. You need to be a little cautious with that. You don't want to be going beyond failure on like every single set you do. You will blow out your CNS, your central nervous system, and overtrain. So I would do it like on maybe 1 set per exercise. I would extend to failure, and that's a very common way I do it is simply by going with a little partials. Are pulse reps the same as partials? Yeah. They've been called several things over the years, but partial rep would be the most accurate term, I think. I remember years ago, the late Don Ross. He was actually senior writer or editor of MD way back when, 30 plus years ago. And I saw him doing partial reps on a hammer strength shoulder press machine. And I said, what are you doing, Don? That's, I was 21, 22 years old at the time. I was a know-it-all. I was like, this idiot, why is he doing these partial reps? But he explains, 500, 600 tests a week enough for a first cycle? Oh, absolutely. Split it 2 doses in the week or just 1? Yeah. First cycle of test, you should never need more than 500, 600 at the most. Because, your body's fresh. We call it a virgin cycle. A lot of people who ask me, I'm not a steroid expert, but I'll say 400, even 400 milligrams for your first cycle. It's still about double what you would be doing on TRT. You don't want to do just a TRT dose because that's just replacing what you have. What's a workout routine for a girl? Well, are you a girl? Yeah, and I would split that up. 400 or 500 for your first one. What do I see IPB bodybuilding in 5 years? Anything drastically different? No, I don't think anything drastically will change. I do think we'll see Classic continue to get more and more popular. Open bodybuilding isn't going away. It's never going to go away. That's still the main event. That's still the lions, tigers, and bears. the big freaks. A lot of people still want to see that, the extreme, the most developed, the most shredded physiques. I shouldn't say that because classic and 212, they get pretty damn shredded. But open, that's where you have the guys that are 240, 50, 60, 300 pounds. And, there's still a market for that. It's still, a lot of people love to see the big freaks. But classic is definitely not going away either. Classic is going to get more and more popular. I predict it will be as popular, if it's not already, as open bodybuilding. I don't know if the money will ever be the same, but I do predict in a couple of years the money's going to be much, much closer to open than it is now. We saw it at the Arnold where just from last year to this year, first place for Classic at the Arnold Classic was $7,000 last year. This year it went to 60, right? $60,000. So 7 to 60 in 1 year. That is a massive increase in a payday and a paycheck for these guys. And, they deserve it. They're tremendously popular. Should you pin 300 twice a week or just one 600? Does it make a difference? Yeah, you do want to spread it out because these drugs have a half-life. If you only pin once a week, a day or 2, 3 days after the shot, you're going to have this peak and then it's going to start coming down. You don't want to have all these peaks and valleys like a heartbeat. You want it to be stable. The best way to do that is to split the doses up. A lot of people will even cut the dose way down and just do that every day. Yeah, that's a lot of pinning. It's a lot of injections. But for most people, twice a week or every third day is like optimal. Like I do every fourth day. I do. I'm not on TRT. I'm on TOT, testosterone optimization therapy. So every fourth day, I do 200 milligrams of test. And right now I'm doing 200 milligrams of equipoise because I'd like to rotate. I don't want to use DECA all the time. No, I'm not on trend. If the trend comes, it's going to be much, much later as we get into summertime, probably, June, July, maybe. But for now, no, I'm not touching the trend bologna sandwiches. Freddie, are you out there, Freddie? Freddie Erickson, my man. I know you're out there somewhere. Come on. Trend bologna sandwiches. They are delicious. But yeah, another reason to pin more often instead of just once a week is you don't have that estrogen spike. It's not as high. Your estrogen levels will be a lot more stable and lower. And a lot of times, if you're really spreading out the doses of your tests, you'll never need an aromatase inhibitor. MF's doing 500-600 for first cycle, probably need 250. No, Simon, 250 is not enough because that's really barely a little over what you would be replacing. So if you're just replacing your natural testosterone, you're suppressing your own production for nothing because you're going to end up with the same amount. So no, I do think 400, 500 at most for first cycle of tests be ideal. I see a lot of people advising a gram, 1,000 milligrams. That's too much. You don't need that for the first. Why is Redcon shipping taking forever these days? I mean, I'm not customer service for Redcon. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, you guys, some of the questions you give me are so random. Yeah, sorry about the rotation. I don't know why it's doing this. It looked fine to me, and I didn't have the orientation locked or anything like that. Hopefully, you're not too disturbed by the borders on each side. If you are, I'm sorry. I apologize. With all of the factors in check, food, training, supplements, is there a point where your body simply cannot add any more mass? Oh yeah, 100%. And is there a point where you're maxed out? Yeah, it takes a very long time to max out your muscle mass. It takes years and years. I don't know IGF, but there is a point where everyone gets as big as they're going to get. Even Rami. Rami's monstrous. He's huge, but you really think Rami can get any bigger than this? He's been training hard. He's obviously been doing all the supplements and everything for years and years now. He's not much bigger than he was when he first turned pro. How many minutes of cardio is best to get shredded? 20 minutes, or I'll talk about the cardio in a second. So yeah, there is a point. It usually takes most people somewhere between 5 and 10 years, sometimes longer. I think for natural people, it takes especially longer. I think natural people can keep making incremental gains probably for about 20 years because their gains are so much slower. But if you're enhanced, usually within 5 or 10 years, if you've been eating plenty of good food, getting plenty of rest, training very, very hard, and using substantial amounts of gear, 5, 10 years, you're probably about as big as you're going to get. Maybe if you're really blasted mega doses, you get a little bit bigger, but the risk-benefit ratio is going to be skewed. It's really not worth the extra risk for what little amount of extra muscle you're going to get at that point. Why is it the legs are always a weak point for older guys? I'm 53 in a few months and my legs are freaking huge, so I don't know. I think a lot of guys, it's knee problems, it's hip problems, it's lower back problems that you accumulate through years and years of training, and you just can't train them the way you used to. If your knees hurt all the time, you can't train legs heavy. You can't. Physically, it's impossible. You try, even like leg presses. If you can't train your legs heavy, or at least heavy enough to maintain the mass, then yeah, you're going to lose the size. And if you have all these issues from years and years of lifting, your joints are killing you. You know, I can't squat anymore, barely. I can 225 if I'm lucky. It's because of my back, my knees. Luckily, I can still leg press heavy, and there's certain squat machines I can go heavy on, pendulum squats. So I'm able to maintain the mass on my legs, but a lot of older guys can't. You know, if I was relying on squats to maintain my leg size, my legs would be half the size they are now. I'm damn sure of that, no doubt. Back to the cardio question. It's not a matter of time with cardio, really. It's a matter of calories burned. Really, you should think about fat loss, cardio, all that as, I stole this from Greg Doucette, talks about it all the time, calories in versus calories out. So you want to burn more calories than you're taking in to lose fat. If you're taking in more calories than you're burning, you're not going to lose any fat. So it's, you know, when I coach people, I don't coach many. My time is too limited. But I used to give them prescriptions for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 35. But I started doing it in terms of calories. So if I say, I want you to burn 500 calories 4 times a week, that's going to be a total, I'm sweating. That'll be a total of 2,000 calories burned. Whereas, you know, however long it takes you to do that. So I'll say 500 calories I want you to burn after your workout. You could go crazy hard and do that in 20 minutes, or you could take a more leisurely pace on a treadmill or something. It might take you 45 minutes, but 500 calories is 500 calories, however way you look at it. Yeah, are these calorie counters on the machines 100% accurate? Probably not, but I think they're consistent with themselves. So they can be relied on in that way. So I don't believe in saying 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, things like that anymore, because there's too many factors involved. So I'd rather try to keep track of it by calories. And if you're burning a certain amount of calories and you're keeping track of how much food you're taking in, you should have a really good idea of what your calorie intake is versus expenditure. And obviously you want it to be skewed so that you're expending more calories. So that's why it's important to keep track of your calories. So many things, so many apps on your phone that you can do that with. Good shape, Ronnie. Thank you, man. Yeah, I like to stay pretty lean. I'm ahead. I got about 10 more pounds to go to be where I want to be for the summer. And I'll gradually get there by probably about 6 weeks from now. Yeah, I'm sure I missed a couple questions there. What was the other question? So yeah, cardio, you got to do your cardio, guys. It's either you're going to do a ton of cardio, I shouldn't say ton, either you have to do a substantial amount of cardio to burn the calories, or you're going to have to eat a lot less. Most people do better eating more and doing more cardio. Is tamoxifen by itself enough for a PCT? That's Nolvadex. I don't think so. You know, that's one for Dr. T. He's the expert on all that. Does doing squat affect the belly size? It can for some people. Some people seem to get a much thicker trunk core from things like squats and deadlifts. But then you see other people who squat and deadlift heavy for years and they never get that gut. I think it's a lot of genetics involved. But you know, you have to squat. If you really want great legs, I tell everyone, unless you have some sort of injury that prevents squatting, you should squat. It's the best exercise for legs. It's the basic bread and butter movement. You're never going to find anything more basic, more effective. You know, we were squatting from the time we were babies, naturally squatting down to pick something up. And if you look at babies, they have perfect squatting form. You know, the back straight. They go nice and deep down, bending with the knees, with the toes, the knees traveling over the feet. Babies have perfect squat form, and we're born with that. We're born knowing how to squat perfectly. So, you know, it's only natural that adding resistance in the form of weight on a bar on your back is going to be the best thing you can do for your legs. What about leg presses? Very, very valuable as well. I always did both. I did a lot of squats. That's how I built my legs, but I also did a ton of leg presses, a ton of hack squats. You know, legs can take a lot of volume. It's half your body, your lower body. So, you know, just doing a few sets is not going to cut it. It would take me a good 30 sets, usually back in the day when I was building my legs. You know, squats, sometimes I would do 4 warm-ups, and then a good 4 to 6 work sets of squats. Same thing for leg presses, same thing for hack squats. Usually I wouldn't do more than 2 compound movements per leg workout. Any advice for training around TFCC injury? What is that? What is TFCC? I don't know what that stands for. Can you tell me? And I'll try to do my best. Yeah, sometimes you guys are way ahead of me with the abbreviations. Yeah. Sarah Pill, my dad is 78 years old. Do you think it's still possible to start a TRT? Of course, of course. Yeah, check with doctors, but PRT. Yeah, 78 years old. Any age, it doesn't even matter. If your testosterone is low and it's 78, it's 99.9% chance it's going to be pretty low. TRT is going to make him feel so much better. A lot of the effects of aging are really just our hormones declining. It's a result of our hormones naturally declining, and we start to lose muscle mass, energy, sex drive, all that good stuff. So getting your dad at 78 to a normal level is going to help him tremendously. Yeah, of course, work with your doctor on that, of course. What one PED would you add to a TRT regimen? DECA. Yeah, easy, DECA. So if you're doing 200 milligrams, let's assume that's the average TRT dose most people are on. Some people less, some people a little more, but 200 is about average. So 200 milligrams of test, if you add on even 100 milligrams of DECA is going to make a difference in the way your joints feel. Is it going to blow you up huge? No, you would have to add a little bit more than that. 34, did my workout for 16 years. I have pain in hands, fingers, legs during exercise. I'm not on any steroids. Oh, I missed that. It came quick. Oh, the wrist injury. The main symptom is pain along the outside of your wrist. I would wrap them really tight. You might even, I wear wrist supports. It's just a wrap with like a Velcro. It goes around once. I have ones from Gasp. I have a couple other companies. I've accumulated a few pairs over the years. But, I use them because my wrists are kind of small. And they help me a lot with support. But training around it, it's hard because, yeah, you do need, your wrists are connected to your hands to push, to pull. You're going to have to go through that wrist. Obviously, straps for back day, wrist straps, the ones with Velcro support, or you can even use like power lifters have much longer runs that you have to wrap around several times, and they offer a lot more support. But yeah, there are things you can do. There are exercises you can do without, like lateral raise machines. Your wrist isn't really involved. Pec deck, it's not involved. Pull over, it's not involved. But anytime you're pushing or pulling, unfortunately, yeah, you do have to go through the wrist. So yeah, it's hard to train around. That's something that's really hard to train around. It's like if you had a broken hand, how do you train around that? You need your hand to grab stuff. At least with the wrist, it's going to be painful, but you should still be able to grasp things that you need to. Yeah, back to that question about the adding the other compound. DECA is the most commonly added extra to TRT, which is just straight testosterone. Test and DECA is like peanut butter and jelly. You can't go wrong with test and DECA. Most people will tell you to do twice the amount of test. So, like I said, if you're on 200 milligrams of test, do 100 milligrams of DECA. It's been a couple months since seeking advice. Oh, thank you. You're welcome, Munil Shah. Yeah. 100 milligrams of DECA is not a lot. It's not enough to cause like major, the health problems, the problems that you might see associated with much larger doses. TRT claim no longer gets HCG. Any thoughts on gonadorelin? What is that? Should I just up my test to replace the increase I was getting from it? I was never, if you're on test, I don't see the point in adding in HCG. If you're on test, you don't need, people use HCG sometimes instead of test, which is not a good long-term strategy. Dr. O'Connor has talked about that many times on his channel, Anabolic Doc. Test is the best thing. If you're on that, you don't really need to add anything like HCG or gonadorelin. I don't know, that's a peptide, I'm guessing? Sounds like a peptide. Yeah, just boost your test a little bit if you want a little more kick. I'm not telling you to do 1 gram or 2 grams of test, but if you're on 200 and you want a little boost, you could bump it up to 250 or 300, and you would see a difference. It's a higher dose. It's gonna give you a little better result, and that's still in what I consider a healthy range. Of course, you all have to get your blood work done regularly and make sure that you're not getting real thick blood. Your hematocrit's not getting too high blood pressure, things like that. You want to make sure that your health is in check all the time, but most people will do pretty well. I've been on 4 to 450 tests a week for years now, with no stop, no break, and good to go. And at times I do bump that up. So there have been times I'll blast and do 500 or 600 tests, 400 or 500 of DECA and EQ or something like that. What does DECA do differently than test? It helps joints. Yeah, it's very good for joint pain. It increases the production of synovial fluid, so you do get more cushioning around the joints. A lot of people use it specifically because they have joint pain, and it does help alleviate that. So, you can get back to heavy training. You shouldn't go crazy with the training just because you're not feeling the pain, because then you're going to get worse injuries. One question, collagen supplements help around ligament injuries similar to TFCC? I don't know if they do. I take it. I don't know how, I mix it in my coffee, the collagen peptides. I don't know how helpful they really are. TRT, you've been running T3, seem to be staying the same weight, but I recommend does T3 help in, I lost the last part. Can you see, what was that part about the T3 again? What is the highest recommended dose for DECA? I see people go as high as a gram, but I don't think you need more than, I don't think anybody needs more than 800 at the most milligrams a week. Most people will do just fine on, even on a blast, 500 or 600 tops. Does T3 help? I mean, it's a thyroid drug. It's gonna increase your metabolism. It's gonna help you burn fat. Sure, most competitive bodybuilders, figure, fitness, most of them use T3 when they're in prep. Clen and T3, they use them both at the same time typically. I'm not gonna give you doses and stuff because I'm not that guy. I'm not the drug guru. Does T3 help in growing muscle? No, not at all, not at all. Theobromine or beta-alanine? Is DECA still the next to add TRT if you're not experienced joint pain? Yeah, Duke Nukem. It's still the best because it just works so synergistically. Test is more on the androgenic side of the scale, and then DECA is more on the anabolic side. You could use, a lot of guys will stack things like Primobolan, but Primobolan's not that strong. Test and DECA, that's been the classic duo. It's like Batman and Robin, Thelma and Louise. It's been Arnold's day and before, guys were getting huge on Test and DECA. They used to throw in some D-ball too, but yeah, you could use equipoise. I personally see the same results with equipoise paired with Test. How does one know if they're fertile or not? You'd have to go to a fertility specialist and get a sperm count and sperm motility test done to see, how much sperm you're producing and if they're swimming properly, active. I don't know. I had my kids so long ago. I was never trying to get anyone pregnant. It just happened twice. But yeah, you need to get that. A fertility specialist would be able to do that. Are you a fan of micro injections? Everyday injections work great. Which test do you use and recommend? Cypionate. Micro injections, I'm not a fan only because I'm lazy. I don't want to pain every damn day. When I do use the devil, Tren, Satan, that's every other day because I use the acetate version. And you do have to pin that every other day. But typically, I like most of the year, every fourth day, third or fourth day. Sometimes I'll go every 3 days and back the dose down a little bit. Yeah, a lot of people swear by like pinning every day. They personally feel that gives them the best result. I could listen to you all day long. Oh, thank you, Joey. Yeah. Oh, what was the other question? I lost it. Thanks. Yeah, Test and DECA, guys. Can't go wrong. I do like Test and EQ too. Equipoise, the one thing that people do worry about, and it does thicken the blood. Is it possible microhernia is natural? I don't know. Anything's possible. Do you recommend yohimbine supplements as pre-workouts? Most stomach handle, but no, yohimbine HCl is primarily for fat loss. It's not a pre-workout. It's something to add to your regimen if you're trying to lose fat for sure. Do you ever get a calcium score? Yeah, I got one a couple of years ago and it was like a 9. And I'm on statin. I'm on 10 milligrams a day of a generic Lipitor, a atorvastatin. This is a generic brand name of Lipitor. Thank you, Hunter. Yeah, I'm trying to get a little tan, but it's not too sunny lately. We're trying to see that. Yeah, what was the question? I'm sorry. Lipitor. Yeah, calcium score, very important to get, guys. Blood work is not enough, especially if you've been on gear for a while. You need to get the calcium score. You need to get echocardiogram of your heart once a year. I do that. You want to see what's going on with your heart. You want to see if there's blockage. You want to see how big that left ventricle is getting. Yeah. Opinion on using Sustanon for a cut cycle. I mean, any steroid, the purpose of using a steroid in a cut cycle isn't to help you get cut. It's just to maintain the muscle while you get cut. Do I have license for those guns? Yeah, people say, well, Tren gets you cut. Tren does have a little bit of a fat burning effect, but it's really your diet. It's the cardio. And if you're throwing in fat burners, Clen and T3, things like that, I hope you're not using DNP, guys, but those are the things that burn fat. Sustanon, any steroid is really just helpful to maintain your muscle mass while you're dropping the fat. Is using a statin every day cause you soreness? No. I do 10 milligrams every morning. I have no issues at all. No issues at all. Some people get like muscle weakness, muscle pain, soreness. I don't get any of that. Dirty bulk, yes, Wham. I hate dirty bulks. I did it for years. Every winter I would dirty bulk, meaning I would eat the good food, and then after that I would always have like a dessert, and I would do that like 5 times a day, on top of like a couple shakes, and I got so fat. Why would you want to put all that fat on when you're just gonna have to take it off eventually? Just that's the way to approach it. Is every ounce of fat you add on, eventually there's going to be a time when you're going to have to take it off, and you're going to have to diet, you're going to have to cut your carbs, you have to do all this cardio. If you stay leaner, clean bulk, just eating a lot more clean food, maybe 1 or 2 cheat meals a day, you can stay a lot leaner and still put on muscle. You don't have to get fat. I do believe that's a myth, because I used to get fat every off season, and when I would diet down, I'd look exactly the same. Struggling from that, brother. I need a proper plan to drain my body out now. Clean up your diet. Just no more junk food, no more fast food. The desserts. You don't need all that stuff. Like I said, you can have treats here and there, but the majority of your meals should be clean. Just think about fuel. What kind of fuel are you putting in your body? You want your body to be this high performance machine. You don't want to put dirty fuel in it. Why? It's just going to clog up the engines. I'm not a car guy, but you know what I'm saying. Dirty fuel is bad for the system. Did your lipids improve with the statin? Yeah. My cholesterol is great. My numbers are great. Do I really need more sets and reps to gain muscle now that I'm 57? No, I can only 2 exercises. I'm quite lean. So oh boy, I'm missing these questions, guys, and I'm sorry. Let me see if I can get. I'm trying to open up another window so I can do this, but the video wasn't showing up. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing up. Let me try it again. I usually do this with a laptop, but I'm not at home right now. So we're going to go to YouTube. Here we go. Okay, now I can see your questions, guys. I got to get to the live chat.
Here?
Oh, but you're using that, aren't you? You're using that. No, I'm fine, Mom. Don't worry about it. Where's the live chat? It's not showing up on this. You don't need to see that? You don't need to see that screen?
I'm taking it. My ears need a break.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me look at it then, if you don't mind.
I'm done.
Sorry, guys. I was missing a lot of your questions because I didn't have a laptop in front of me.
Yeah, I gotta get
F5.
my laptop. What do you need?
Hold on, guys. You need AD50. You need Anadrol 50. Please help.
What?
I don't sell drugs, guys. I'm sorry.
Someone pretends to be on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. Hit the F5.
Sorry?
Refresh the screen.
Oh. This one?
Yep. There should be a live chat window.
Here, I'll just mute.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now I can see your questions, guys.
Oh, there's an ad.
Yeah. No, I just need to see this.
Oh, that's here.
Yeah, okay, guys. Now I can see all your questions because they would disappear.
Not that one, this one.
Huh?
This one.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. I got it. Okay. Sorry, guys. So now I can read the questions, whereas before I could not. Do I need... Okay, so Raging Bull 340. Move the phone over here while I read it. Raging Bull 340. Do I need to do more sets and reps to gain muscle now that I'm 57? I could do only 2 or 3 exercises per body part, 4 sets. I made great gains 20 years ago. I eat better now, too. I don't know. More volume as you get older, probably not the best idea because you're older. You don't recover as well. Our bodies are older. I'm 52. I definitely can't do the volume that I used to and still recover. It depends. It's gaining muscle at 57. I don't know when you started training, but assuming you've been training for a very long time, you're not really going to gain a whole lot more muscle because, like I said, we don't gain muscle forever and ever. There comes a point where we just stop gaining because we've hit our max. I don't know where you are. I would suggest really just switching things up. Try different exercises, different splits, different rep tempos, rep ranges, rather than just adding more volume. If more volume was always the answer, that'd be an easy fix for everybody, but it's unfortunately it isn't. Duke Nukem, now I can read your question, Duke. You're 44, 210 at 5'11". Been quite lean since you've been 30. I've been on TRT at 300 mg since I've been 30. What do you think my biggest health risk is? Wow, that's a tough question for a non-medical professional, but let me give it my best shot. Your biggest health risk as a male is always heart disease, always. That's the number one killer for us. So that's why I say get your calcium score, get your echocardiogram of your heart, get all the scans you can. Try to stay on top of that because your heart, if that goes, obviously you're dead right away. That would be your biggest health risk. You know, cancer is always something to worry about, but you really can't control that as long, you know, unless you're smoking or something. I tell you to stop smoking. Hazel Bagel, do you think eating vegetables are a legitimate source of prohormones? No, no way. what prohormones are you going to get from eating vegetables? I'm not a prohormone fan because prohormones are really just, they're nothing more than oral steroids that haven't been classified. So I tell people, if you're going to use all these prohormones and blow out your liver, just take steroids for God's sake. Inject them so it's not going through your liver. And then, you know, you shouldn't have to worry about a lot of health problems that you would if you're using a ton of orals. Yeah, I don't like to see people doing a lot of orals for extended periods because it's just so bad for your liver. And yeah, you gotta have a healthy liver, guys. Joey T, Ron, what do you think about Dianabol and what is your recommended dosage? I've used it many times. I like it a lot. I always did well on 50 milligrams a day. I'd split that up 25 in the morning, 25 in like the late afternoon, early evening. But like I was just talking about with orals, I wouldn't stay on it more than 30 days. I used to always like D-ball for, kicking cycles off. That's what most people like orals for, is because when you're injecting different things, it takes a while, unless you're using fast-acting things like trinacetate or NPP. Those kick in pretty quickly, but things like regular test-cypionate, DECA, they take a week or two to really start kicking in. Orals, most people like orals just for that very reason. I'm not sideways anymore, am I? Is it sideways, guys? Looks like it's sideways now. What the hell? Did that change it? Orientation is locked. Okay, never mind. Okay, so the guy who needs Anadrol 50, find the biggest guy at your gym. He's probably on steroids, and become buddy with him, and maybe he'll hook you up with his source, or maybe he deals. Guys, hit the like button. Thank you, Hunter. J-Dog, veggies is pro-hormones. Elliot Slater, thanks for the free and good information. You're welcome. Dark Tooth, Ron, your opinion on adding refined oil to the diet food will affect the form during contest prep. Refined oil. What's refined oil? I mean, I know like refined oil, petroleum, but what's refined oil? I don't even know what that means. Give me an example of it so I know what you mean. But typically, if you're asking like, macadamia nut oil, olive oil, things like that, it's just calories. So if you're trying to get cut, like I said previously on this episode, calories in versus calories out. So if these oils are putting you in a caloric surplus, meaning you're taking in more calories than you're burning or expending, you're not going to burn fat. You need to be in a caloric deficit. So if adding these oils is adding all these extra calories to your daily total, that's not a good thing. You don't want to do that. Will Nick Walker place better next Olympia? I don't know. He could place worse. He could place better. He could win. Who knows? I mean, he's looking great. He's making improvements. He's growing. He's keeping his waist the same size. Nick doesn't have the prettiest physique at all. But you know what? Neither did Dorian. Ronnie's physique wasn't pretty. It's a lot of brutal muscle, and he gets shredded. And that's, that could be enough. We'll see. It's tough. The Olympia is tough. These are the best in the world. They're very best. And I think Bonac, who wasn't really a factor last year, he's going to be a factor again this year. And remember, Bonac was 6th place last year, and we sort of started writing him off like, William's on the downslide. We've seen the best of William, because he was 2nd place at the 2019 Olympia when Brandon Curry won. He's been 3rd place before that. And then he just won he almost won the Arnold Classic this year. A lot of people thought he definitely deserved to beat Brandon and win the Arnold. And then he did Boston Pro a week later and blew that show out of the water. It wasn't even close. It was a landslide victory for William Bonac. So you got Brandon wants his title back. He's going to be in Kuwait for 16 weeks leading into the show. You got Bonac, you got Hadi Choopan, you got Hunter Labrada, Ian. It's a stacked. That is a stacked show. It's the best in the world, the very best in the world. Raging Bull, you're very welcome. Hunter T, I can't handle tren. I sweat really bad at night trying to sleep, and my mood changes, and I don't like the way I feel. Yeah, I could handle it when I was in my young 20s, but not in my late 30s. Yeah, tren is one of those things that a lot of people after using it, they decide the side effects are just not worth it. Yeah, it gets you big, strong. It's a very effective drug, but man, the side effects, A lot of people have transomnia. They can't sleep. They wake up and the sheets are soaked with sweat. They're in a pissy mood all the time where just everything sets them off. It's hard to go through your daily life like that, especially if you have to deal with people. I guess if you're a hermit and you just go to the gym and lift and then don't encounter any other human beings, maybe it's okay. But, you know, if you work with people, if you have a family, if you have kids, you don't want to have a short fuse and be going off on people like that for nothing. So, yeah, trend's not for everybody. It is a very toxic drug too, obviously, but a lot of you guys aren't really concerned about the health aspect. You just, you know, what can it do for me and how bad are the side effects going to be? And for some people, the side effects are so bad that they're like, I'm all set with Tren. Never using it again. What about his prostate? Munil Shah, have you ever had any long-term ligament injuries around key joints? Well, I have, let's see, I have no more, not ligaments. What's the word? Between the joints. Why am I drawing a blank, guys? I'm sorry. I've had a lot of tendon injuries. I've had a lot of partial tears. I had a full tear of this tricep. You know, you just have to take it easy for a while, let it heal. Obviously, if it's fully torn, you're going to need surgery, but most time it's not a full tear. It's a partial tear. Like they won't even operate. An orthopedic surgeon won't even reattach unless you're 50% or more detached. So most of the time you just have to take it really easy and let it heal. And unfortunately, tendons do take a long time to heal. They have a very poor blood supply compared to the muscles. So it does take time for them to heal. Like sometimes you might have to go light on that area for a good month or two, maybe even more. But eventually, if you're diligent and you're not stupid and give yourself time and don't try to rush back in heavy training, you'll be fine again eventually. Ron's got bad joints everywhere. That's true. The shoulder sucks. This shoulder's pretty good. I wish this one was like that one, the joint. My back, yeah, my knees. Yeah, I mean, I've been training it'll be 38 years of consistent training this September. So it's been a lot of wear and tear on these joints, man. A lot of wear and tear. Mr. Top 3 anabolics endurance in sports. In sports in general, I think for endurance, there's a lot of different sports. Like track was big on Winstrol for a long time. Honestly, I honestly don't know which ones would give you the best endurance. I think all steroids will increase workload, work performance. Track athletes, I don't know why, but Winstrol was a huge drug for track athletes. That's the one that Ben Johnson got popped for. Yeah. I don't know sports, guys. I mean, I know muscle building and that's my wheelhouse. I don't really do a lot of, I'm not that interested in sports performance or how to improve it. That's why I don't work with athletes. When I coach people, it's just people that want to get big and jacked or ripped, They're not trying to be like MMA stars or football, NFL players or anything like that. Processed oil. That was what you're asking. What's a processed? Give me an example of a processed oil. I don't even know what would you add to food? I'm guessing, like I said, you're thinking like olive oil, macadamia nut oil, coconut oil, maybe. I mean, all these things, like I said, add calories. So if you're trying to get cut, you probably don't want to be throwing in oil into your food and jacking up the calorie totals. You want to have low calories. Is the sound low? Maybe it's my voice. I mean, I'm just on my iPhone here. Fat is the first to go on a diet, 9 calories per gram versus 4 on carbs. Yeah, you can get away with eating more carbs than you can fats because fats, like he's just pointed out, are more than twice the amount of calories per gram. A lot of people like keto though, because it's just easy. It's so easy to follow. No carbs. It's easy enough. I can remember that. There's no real guesswork. You're just not eating carbs. Let's see. David M., what would be a good way to approach the biggest guy in the gym about steroids? Well, don't go up to him. You'd have to get to know him first and be his friend. I would not recommend just going up randomly to some big jack dude in the gym and say, hey, where I can get some steroids? Because people have done that to me, and it's very offensive. It's like, why would you ask me that? That's, first of all, how do I know you're not a cop? How do I know this isn't some sort of entrapment? You want to bust me? Maybe you're a fed. I don't, I'm not a steroid dealer, but I still, obviously, anyone who's using steroids gets it somewhere. They know where to get it. it's not that hard, guys. It's really, I mean, you can get them on. I wouldn't recommend necessarily getting them online, but you can find it. Steroid sales. A ton of things will pop up when you Google it. What else? We're getting some more questions here. Barnack looked good. Barnack looked really good at the Arnold. I had him winning. Joe Mama. Joseph, I like Ramy physique, but he's the worst Mr. Olympia in terms of representing and promoting the sport. Not if you're in Egypt. Apparently he does a lot of appearances in Egypt. He's like a national hero, very well known, very well received everywhere he goes. And in, the Middle East in general, but especially in Egypt where he's back living now, his native Egypt. But he doesn't come to the U.S. very often. And, I guess if you're in Egypt, you could say, well, the American Mr. Olympias, they didn't come to Egypt very often. So maybe that's what you get. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see him posting more, sharing more content with us, his day-to-day, training, what his day in the life stuff, anything. I mean, we don't hear much from Ramy. And he's Mr. Olympia. He's the ambassador for the sport. So I would like to see a lot more from Ramy, just selfishly because he's Mr. Olympia. He's the best in the world. He's the top bodybuilder in the world. He's not just supposed to win the contest. Like they say, well, that's all Dorian did. Dorian just showed up once a year and won the contest. Well, you're supposed to be an ambassador. You're supposed to go out and do appearances, talk shows, charity events, whatever, to promote the sport, generate interest, generate goodwill, make people really want to be a part of it, follow it, participate in it, go to the shows, buy the pay-per-views. That's what it's all about. You're supposed to be helping the Mr. Olympia brand and the sport in general, theoretically. I mean, what do I know? I'm never won Mr. Olympia. Pec bounce, please. No, man. Can I do it? Yeah, I can do that, but yeah. Dude, give me some juice. Yeah, don't do that. Is Liver King natural? I don't know. Looking at his physique, I would say no. Me. He could be, someone who used steroids for a long time and now he's somehow able to maintain most of that mass, but my gut tells me no, but maybe he is. I don't know. He claims natural, so I can't call him a liar because then I'm an a-hole if I do that. So I better not. The guy on 300 TRT has prostate health. It depends on the individual. Some people don't respond well to testosterone and steroids in general, and they get all kinds of health problems. Other people, like me, for example, I've been very, very fortunate. I get my PSA, that's your prostate marker. I get that done, get that checked every time I get blood work. And like I said, knock on wood, it's all good. And I blasted, upwards of 1 gram of tests along with other drugs many times over the years. And I'm consistently on 450 milligrams a week of tests for years now, and no ill effects on my prostate. Hazel Bagel, how is zinc supposed to boost tests? Is it a transport molecule for anabolic compounds? Don't know. I'm not that smart, unfortunately. I know a little bit, but no. I mean, trying to boost tests. If you're deficient in tests, if you really, if you have normal tests, you're fine. If you want to add to it, you would take steroids. If you're deficient, you would go on TRT, which just gives you enough testosterone weekly so that you have normal levels. But as far as zinc and all, trying to use these test boosters, I'm not really a fan. I don't know how much actual benefit, how much increase in the testosterone levels you really get. I don't think it's significant. Munil Shah, let's see. You're the absolute rock star to answer each of our questions. Wow, rock star, awesome. I've always followed your show's coverage on this channel. Cheers. Thank you, Munil. Appreciate that. Okay, so Hazel Bagel says palm oil and canola oil. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I was thinking. Any oil that you add, they're healthy. These things are healthy. Palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. They're healthy, but, healthy and getting leaner are not the same thing. If you're trying to get really, really lean, very, very low levels of body fat, like I said, you need to be in a caloric deficit. So you have to look at everything you take in is contributing to that calorie total. And, if you're already eating 2,500 calories, 2,000, 2,500 calories a day from food, and then you're going to add oil onto that, and, you can look at maybe that oil is like 100 calories per teaspoon or tablespoon. It all adds up. You want to be in a deficit if you're trying to lose fat. So off season, sure. I'd be very, very cautious with using any kind of oil for cooking or just adding to your food. Like a lot of people used to add MCT oil to their food. Yeah, you don't want to do that really if you're trying to keep your calories low enough so that you can be getting nice and lean, because summer's coming up, guys. Don't we all want to get shredded for summer? Of course we do. Andulus Gaming, greetings from Germany. Cologne. Ah, that's FIBO. Yeah, we have the FIBO this weekend. You know, anyone from the States coming overseas? I don't. I'm sure a ton of people are coming, though. I've never been to FIBO. I always wanted to go. You know, Jose Raymond, a good friend of mine, he's been to it many times. He says the Arnold Expo, which we consider a big deal here. He says it's about 4 or 5 times the size of that. It's enormous. Like it takes you 3 days to walk around and see all the booths and meet all the athletes and celebrities over there. So it's enormous. So I would love to get over to FIBO. But I'm sure a lot of top American athletes and fitness influencers are going to be there for sure. It's my end on the sound. Oh, good, Bo. Thank you. J-Dog, love these live shows. Thank you. Helps me get the mail delivered. Oh, J-Dog, are you a mail carrier? My late dad was a mail carrier, so I have nothing but respect for. I used to ride in the mail truck, which was against the law. I know. My dad used to let me sometimes tag along, and I'd ride in the mail truck, which had no seat belts. It didn't even have anything in the back. It was just a big, little cargo bag. But man, those are good times. I never helped him with the delivery, but I sort of just tagged along. Yeah, he walked 10 miles a day for 25 years, delivering the mail. All kinds of weather. This is Massachusetts. It would get freaking cold, and he was still out there every day. Baby oil on your body? What? I don't want to rub baby oil on your body? But seriously, Ron, you got any D-ball you want to sell? No, I haven't taken D-ball in... When was the last time I took D-ball? It's been at least 2 or 3 years. At least 2 or 3 years. I think more recently I used turinabol, which is a very, very similar drug. They call it a dry D-ball because it doesn't cause as much water retention as D-ball. And that's a concern because, I used to get this puffy moon face like a freaking chipmunk. I'd see the pictures later and it was embarrassing. But turinabol, which I think originally was made in Turkey, it's generic now. People make it all over the place. But very similar effects to D-ball. Most people would take 40 to 50 milligrams a day, and they would see pretty substantial size and strength increases within a week or two. You'd start really seeing a difference. That's why people like orals, because they get in your system so fast. They start working really quick. They do have to go through your liver, and so that therefore you do have more liver damage. Your liver enzymes are going to skyrocket. But that's why I say, for me personally, 30 days was like I would stay on them for 4 weeks or 30 days, something like that, and then I would stop them. Because by then all the injectables I was on, the test, the DECA, or the equipoise, whatever, they were all well kicked in in my system at that point anyway. The Middle East has a lot of bodybuilding talent. Only breaking beans. Bo True, only breaking beans? Oh, that's like breaking balls? Oh. Hazel Bagel, the Middle East has a lot of bodybuilding talent. Oh, good Lord, yeah. I mean, look at countries like Kuwait lately, Egypt, Dubai, pumping out champions. Brazil is coming up strong, though. Don't count Brazil out. But yeah, Middle East. I think Middle East has always had a giant gene pool of bodybuilding talent, but a lot of them were never going pro. They didn't have as many opportunities to go pro, or they would retain their amateur status because their governments would pay them to represent the country in international competitions. So there was a lot more incentive for them to remain amateurs and get a salary every month from their government, or like the Olympic Committee or the sports committee or something of their particular government. So it really didn't make sense for them to turn pro. So therefore, we didn't hear about a lot of these guys. But now we have, they're all in the pro league, the IPB Pro League, and they're kicking ass and taking names. Joseph, do you think Bonac has a shot at winning the Mr. Olympia this year? Stranger things have happened. I mean, he's got to get past Rami. He's got to get past Brandon, which he almost got past him, but Brandon didn't prep very long for that, Arnold. He's got to get past Hadi. He's got to get past Hunter, Nick. He's got a chance. These guys who are in the top 5 or 6, they all have a chance. They're the top 5 or 6 best bodybuilders on this planet of 8 billion people. So yeah, they have a chance. But yeah, Rami's no joke. He's not going to roll over and let somebody just take his title away. And neither Brandon. So yeah, it's tough. TJ Hammer, 24, 47-year-old lifelong natty. Tons spent on natural T boosters at 42-year-old into triathlon training. 5 years later, started first TRT, 100 milligrams twice a week, 2 IU GH per day. Nothing super, but feel better. Any suggestions? No, that's, you're on a very similar protocol to me. I do 200 milligrams twice a week, and I'm on 3 IUs of growth every night, and it works great. You could bump up the test a little bit, or you could add another compound, and you get even better results. The risk factors go up, but if you're looking for better results, everything else being equal, you need to up the doses or add like another compound, because your body's very acclimated to that amount. That's a very mild amount. I mean, you're only on 200 milligrams of test. You're on TRT a week. If you bump that up to 300, 400 at the most, I'm not going to tell you to take large doses of steroids, but you would see better results. Like I said, but stay on top of your health. Get all your blood work done. Get your heart scans done. If you see things are going south, you would want to back down the dose again. But yeah, upping the dose of your test and or adding another compound like a DECA, an Equipoise, Primobolan, something like that, you would definitely see enhanced results beyond what you're seeing now. Stefan, I just answered that. 3 IUs of growth every night works very well for me. The growth I found, maybe I would need to use more, I think, to see actual muscle gains from it. I don't think I saw any muscle gain from growth hormone. I've been on it since mid-February of last year, so it's been over a year now. But I definitely stay leaner on it. It helps me stay a lot leaner, even though I'm not doing a ton of cardio. When I do add in more cardio and clean up my diet completely, I get shredded, but I can still have dessert like every day, like one dessert a day, and I still stay very, very lean. So the growth, it's very lipogenic. It burns fat just sitting on your ass doing nothing. That to me is the most potent effect of growth hormones, the lipolytic, the fat burning effect. Joseph, it looked like you had good arm workout, great bicep pump. No, today I did push day. It was chest, shoulders, biceps, but I'm leaning forward. I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm deceiving you. My biceps not really that big, but when I do that, it looks bigger. So I'm a master at angles and framing and stuff like that. I've been doing this for years, guys. I know how to make myself look good. O'Neill Shah. In what situations or examples will icing joints, ligaments, tendons help in recovery? It'll always reduce inflammation. And if you have inflammation in your joints, if your lower back's sore and you ice it, you'll notice, after 15, 20 minutes of icing, it's not sore anymore. A lot of people ice their knees after leg day. They ice their elbows after, chest day or tricep day. So ice definitely helps. People will take NSAIDs, non-steroid anti-inflammatories. What's the D stand for? Drugs. They take those to reduce inflammation as well. The problem with taking those every day is they are eventually liver toxic. So if you're taking Tylenol, ibuprofen like day after day after day consistently, eventually you're going to see some elevated liver enzyme levels. So, but ice is fine. One thing I want to throw out there is heated seats. If you have lower back pain from chronic inflammation, you don't want to use your heated seats. Don't turn that on. I found out the hard way. It just makes it worse. It enhances. It makes the inflammation worse. You need cold on the inflammation. You don't need heat. Heat is the worst thing for it. So take that for what it's worth. Tiddlywinks. Ron, what do you think about Tren? I covered it earlier. I think it's a very powerful drug, very effective drug. It has a lot of side effects, and a lot of people don't like the side effects. Night sweats, insomnia, bad attitude, just short temper. A lot of people just feel bad. They don't feel good on trends. Like they always feel like something's wrong. They're on edge. They're like, it's for a lot of people. It's not worth it. It's just psychologically, it's too disruptive. But yeah, does it work? Oh my God, it works. Furkan Karim. Also, you have to worry about prolactin buildup on NPP like you do on Trend. Thanks for your input, brother. I would give that one to Dr. T, but I don't know. I've never used NPP. That's one thing I've never used. I've used DECA many times. Never used the short-acting version, nandrolone phenylpropionate, NPP. Always use the longer-acting DECAs. So I don't really have an answer for that. Osmodius Valhalla. Ron, what appetite enhancements do bodybuilders use? For example, do any use MK677? I always heard GHRP6. I never used it. GHRP6 is a peptide that a lot of people use to boost the appetite. Equipoise, the steroid equipoise, is notorious for boosting appetite. And I'll throw this out there because in half the USA, cannabis is legal. It is legal. It's not as that drug where you're a bad person if you smoke weed or take an edible or something like that. But a lot of bodybuilders I know and have known, they'll take a couple puffs before meals and it's enough to get more food down. You know, they're not stoned. They're not like high out of their minds. It's just a few puffs to boost the appetite. And it works very well where they're smoking out of the flower or they're vaping or whatever. But, you know, cannabis is the cheapest, most natural version of appetite booster you can find. Cannabis is marijuana, if you didn't know. I'm sure you knew that, guys. What else we got? Steven, do you think Bumstead will lose title now that he has the distractions with Raw? No. If Bumstead loses, the only thing I could see happening is he is starting to accumulate. He's getting injured now, it seems, more and more often. And that's the downfall of many a great bodybuilder. You know, Dorian, if Dorian hadn't started tearing all his muscles, he probably would have won another couple, 2-3 more Olympias, I think, before he was all said and done. If Phil Heath hadn't got that hernia, I think he would have at least tied Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman's record of 8. He would have kept winning. Even Ronnie Coleman, he started getting nerve damage where one side of his body was like atrophied. If that hadn't happened, I think he could have won 9 or 10 Olympias. So Chris Bumstead just needs to stay healthy. I don't think the business Raw is distracting him too much. I don't think he puts in like 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week running that business. I don't think he does. And, you know, I'm sure once it's time to prep for the Olympia, they'll understand and he's not going to have to do too much for the company. They'll let him focus on what he needs to focus on, which is prepping to win another, that'd be his 4th Classic Olympia title. Justin Bass, can you build a decent physique staying natural? Of course you can. Of course you can. There are a lot of great natural physiques. They're not as big. That's the only thing. Are you going to build a big freaky physique naturally? No. You're not going to build a freaky drug-like physique without drugs, but you're probably not going to get a bubble gut. You're not going to get a big gut. You'll keep a nice small waist. You'll be healthy. You'll keep your hair. You won't have zits. You won't have gyno. You know, maybe you won't be as big, sure, but the average person thinks the drug look is ugly anyway. They think it's too extreme, it's disgusting. A natural bodybuilder has a much more attainable, aesthetic, natural look that people don't get disgusted by. So yeah, you can build a great physique naturally. It's just not going to be as big and freaky, and that's fine. You know, most people don't. If you want a big freaky physique, you're going to have to go on drugs. But you can build an awesome physique naturally. And I don't encourage anyone to start steroids. You know, do I regret using them? Not really, but I had a pretty good physique naturally. You know, I had a very small waist. My waist got bigger and bigger from overeating and from just years of anabolics. But yeah, I had a pretty damn good natural physique. Let's see. KMCB, 300 tests, 200 nandrolone, 61 years old. Oh, wow, good for you. Blood work excellent and heart healthy. Good enough for muscle gains? 300 tests and 200 nandrolone. Well, is it good enough for muscle gains? Riddle me this, Batman. Are you gaining muscle? If you're gaining, then it's good enough. If it's not, you could bump it up a little bit and see if that helps. You know, as long as you're staying on top of your health like you are and you're not causing any damage. If what you're doing now isn't enough, you could try bumping it up just a bit. You know, you're on 300 tests, 200 nandrolone, go to 4 and 3. See what happens there. You know, I bet you'd see some extra gains. Yeah, here I am telling people to up their dose. Very responsible of you, Ron. Megawatt Fitness. Ron, splitting my cardio into 2 sessions of 30 minutes will have the same effect as doing 60 minutes straight. Yeah, it doesn't even matter, but 60 minutes is a long time to be doing cardio. It really doesn't matter. I'm realizing more and more over the years, it doesn't matter how you break up the cardio. It's calories in versus calories out. I don't even believe in fasted cardio anymore. I don't think it's any more effective. I know a lot of people are going to argue. Believe me, I was an advocate of fasted cardio for 25 years. I did it religiously every contest prep, told everyone that's what they had to do. But my last couple contests, I tried doing it after my weight training workout, and I got just as ripped. So it didn't matter. I think 60 minutes is a very long time to be doing cardio, though. I would try to. I don't think anyone needs 60 minutes of cardio a day unless you're like really obese. That's why I say don't get that fat. Don't get that fat in the first place, and you won't need to be doing tons and tons of cardio. You know, you shouldn't need to be doing more than 30, 40 minutes cardio a day to lose fat. If you need to do more than that, then either you're trying to rush the process or you just got really fat and you have a lot of body fat to lose. And you should never have let that much fat accumulate in the first place as a bodybuilder. That's just my take on it. Really good genetics, true? Yeah. Marvin, hey Ron, do you think it will be Justin Blessing and Phil Klahar, top 3 Indy? Yeah, that looks like a very, very likely top 3 scenario. I don't know who else is doing it. Those 3 are doing it. And yeah, I mean, Blessing's coming on back with a vengeance because that was his pro debut last year. I think he ended up 4th, and he did not look the way he wanted to look or the way he should have looked. But Justin's no joke. Justin Rodriguez is great, is an excellent bodybuilder, so he's going to be damn tough to beat. Damn tough to beat. I mean, we'll see what happens. Hazel Bagel. Brandon looking good too, yeah. Brandon had a very short prep for the Arnold. It was like 10 weeks. It should have been 16. You know, he knows. He just did enough to win. He just did enough to barely win. Yeah, bare minimum. Olympia, he'll train longer. He'll prep longer and harder for sure. I know he will. Money on Nick Walker. Numbers pristine. That's excellent. Much thanks. Bump up to 500 MIGs or else. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people do fine on, 200's too low. 400 or 500 is probably a good range for most people to be able to sustain, because you can't stay on 750 to 1,000 milligrams of test for very long before it starts really raising your blood pressure, your lipids, your cholesterol gets all messed up. I'd rather do a lesser amount of steroids for a long time than a huge amount of steroids for a short time, personally. I think you get better long-term results that way. So let's see. Bo True, I started TRT at 35. Best decision ever. Feel like I'm 20 again. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to things like sex drive, I'm 52. I still feel very much like I did in my, let's say 30s, maybe not 20s. Maybe when if I'm blasting, then I feel like I'm in my 18 or 20 again. But yeah, there's no reason to have low T anymore, guys. If you have low T, get your doctor to prescribe you some testosterone, and if he won't or she won't, go find another doctor who will. There's no reason to go through life not feeling and looking your best, just because, if a woman needs estrogen, they give her estrogen. It's not a big deal. No one's telling you. No one tells women, no, you shouldn't be doing estrogen. That's bad. But they will tell guys, you shouldn't be doing testosterone. Testosterone's bad. Toxic masculinity. Bunch of bullshit. Marvin, did you interview Martin Daniels, a natural bodybuilder? No, I didn't. Sorry. Stefan Todorovic, Ron, do these more often? Oh, thank you, man. I usually do them toward the end of the week, if you notice. I might do another one tomorrow. We'll see. Hazel Bagel, but thank you. Hazel Bagel, Ron, I'm not going to post links in the chat, but preliminary research seems to suggest cannabis is anabolic. I don't know about that. We'd see a lot of jacked stoners. That'd be great if it was. But I mean, here's the thing. I think a lot of people, what holds them back from making the gains is they're just not eating enough. A lot of people tell me, yeah, I eat a lot of food. And then I say, tell me everything you ate. Give me everything you ate from the time you woke up, time you went to bed yesterday. And they tell me, I said, you're not eating that much. You thought you were, you're not. I tell them, okay, here's what I would suggest you do. And like, oh my God, that's a lot of food. You want me to eat all that? And I'm like, yeah. But a lot of people, they don't have the appetite. So if cannabis can get you past that point where the appetite is a limiting factor, that was the last puzzle piece. You're training hard, you're getting enough sleep. Now you're eating enough. That's the 3 sides of the triangle, guys. Training, nutrition, sleep. Is that a triangle? Yeah. Get them all in place and boom, you start gaining. So in that case, cannabis, I don't think, maybe they will find that cannabis is anabolic, but I mean, I know a lot of people that smoke a lot of pot and they're not that jacked. Oh man. That's what I tell my wife, Hazel Bagel, that's anabolic. Yeah. just tell her it's natural. It's an herb. It grows from the ground. It's it's natural. Yeah. So I can blaze up all day, every day, baby. Well, I mean, I don't want to be high all the time. I got to get some work done, right? Furkan Karim, if you've been on TRT for 2 years, can you add HCG, HMG when you decide you want to have kids? Or is it really necessary to run a cycle continuously maintain? Fertility protocols. Search on YouTube, Anabolic Doc Fertility. He helps a lot of guys who have been on steroids for years get their wives or girlfriends pregnant. He's had tremendous success. And he outlines his protocol. It does involve I think HCG and HMG, but I'm not. Don't quote me. I don't know the doses and the timing and all that. But anabolic doc, Dr. Thomas O'Connor, he's done some great things for people who wanted to have kids, and they did use or abuse steroids for many years. And I know he has used those things in the protocols to get these guys the children that they wanted. Use HCG. Yeah, but typically you'll stay on your TRT. You're always on TRT. It's like a diabetic always uses insulin. If you're on TRT, you have a legitimate need for it. Your body doesn't make enough testosterone anymore, so you don't cycle on and off TRT. But a lot of people are using TRT as this like bastardized term for being on a cycle. It's not. A cycle is a cycle. TRT is just enough to keep you at normal levels. It's not blasting, 5, 6, 1,000 milligrams of tests a week to get jacked. It's not that. That's not TRT. Bo True. I just like saying Bo True about. He's giving you hazel bagels. Research says anabolic. Some says it isn't. Bo True research says it is. This is all about. They're talking about cannabis being anabolic. Hazel bagel, but research leans toward anti-catabolic because cannabis triggers anti-inflammatory property. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. Thanks, guys. Consistent marijuana. Yeah, I have heard that. I have seen studies, as Jay Jarstar says. Consistent marijuana use lowers test levels. I don't know if it lowers tests or it just raises estrogen, but that's, it's a scale. So when you're supposed to have a certain amount of test and a certain amount of estrogen. You don't want the test to be too high in relation to the estrogen or too low. You don't want that estrogen being too high. So I have heard a lot of bad things as far as chronic marijuana use increasing your estrogen. But of course, if you're on steroids, it doesn't matter because you have all that test being injected synthetically anyway. Marijuana. Looking jacked, thank you. What do you think of collagen on low calories? Trying to preserve more tissue under 1,500 calories. I don't know if collagen does, has this muscle tissue preservation properties. I don't know. I haven't heard that. I could be totally uninformed and ignorant about it. I don't know anything about that. This is the first I've heard. Bo True, I just severed a tendon in my foot. What the hell were you doing, dude? Knife fighting? Can't do cardio. Got to leverage those anabolic stimulants. You can't do cardio with your foot. You could use a rower. You could use a rowing machine without moving your legs. I know that's not the same. You aren't going to burn as many calories. You can still burn calories. I would imagine cannabis abuse causes low test. That's what I've always heard, but I've always heard that it raises your estrogen, which, like I said, it's skewing the ratio. You don't want a high estrogen in a normal test, just like you don't want low test and low estrogen. Marvin, what was your greatest moment in bodybuilding, Ron? I could say I've only won one overall title. I could say that, but I only had to beat one guy in my class and then was it 2 or 3 other class winners to do that. It wasn't a big show. So I would say the greatest moment was probably my 5th place at the 2013 Team Universe over 40, because there was just one class. There was no weight restrictions. There were 24 of us. And there was, like I said, the guy who won was 280 pounds. So I was up there with 280-pound guys. A few of them were like around the 240, 250 range. I beat a lot of those guys. I got 5th out of 24. And every one of those guys that beat me, obviously the guy that won that night turned pro that night, but every single one of those guys who beat me was a pro within that year or the next year. And a lot of the guys that I beat at that show are pros now. So to me, that was like almost like being in a pro show. It was the closest I ever came to being in a pro show. It was a bunch of guys who were soon to be pros. So it was a cool show for me. Yeah. Oh, but maybe you mean aside from competition. Greatest moment of bodybuilding. Maybe training, having Dorian Yates train me at Temple Gym in 2010 in Birmingham. He put me through a leg workout. Or training with Ronnie. We did legs together. February 2005 at Metroflex Gym in Arlington, Texas. That was pretty awesome. Branch Warren, I trained legs with Branch at my gym in Massachusetts a few years ago. That was pretty great. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many. I've been very blessed to have a lot of cool experiences and meet so many great people. I'll always remember all the friends I made, even the acquaintances. Some really cool people I met over the years. Unfortunately, a lot of them are gone now, passed away. Andy Holden, hey Ron, did you find it easier to reach each time to diet down? No. I wonder if it's easier. No, but you know what? As time went by, I learned to stay leaner in the off season and not put as much body fat on. So in that aspect, it did get easier for me to get leaner because I wasn't getting as fat and I didn't have as much body fat to lose. So yeah, in that aspect, it did get easier because for years I used to drop like 30, 40 pounds for a show. I think one time I had to drop 50 pounds. It was miserable. So much. I was doing 2 hours of cardio a day. I was on zero carbs. I was really had to suffer and go through misery. Ugh. So I learned not to get fat. If I could stay leaner, where I could always see my abs, prep wouldn't be as hard. Now what happened? Well, my daughter's laptop has a low battery, so that's what I'm using to look at your questions. I'm gonna let you guys go. There's some grilling going to be going on here soon. What's that, Ron? Who made you say holy shit more in person? Yates or Coleman? In person? Coleman. Joseph Arablo, my buddy. Yeah, so I'm going to say goodbye, guys. I appreciate you guys watching so much. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, leave some comments, do all that good stuff. Yeah, turn on the notifications with the little bell thing. Appreciate you guys so much. And it's Thursday, so I won't say have a good weekend yet because I might do another one of these tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.